So today I'm going to be putting this new Gen 10 microserver into my VMware environment. Just going to run through a few quick specs of the actual microserver compared to the other microservers I've had, and maybe some about the Gen 8, which I actually never had that microserver. But so this is a Gen 10 microserver. It looks very similar to the Gen 8 in every respect. You've got your two super speed USB 3 ports on the front there, power switch, and some indicator lights for both networking and hard drive activity, and also a health indicator as well. On the back, and compared with Gen 8, there's no onboard ILO on these servers at all. There's two onboard network adapters. There's also two Pci slots here, which I believe the Gen 8 only had one Pci slot. Now one of the Pci slots is a Pci 8 running at ×8. The other one is it's the length of a Pci 4 but only runs at ×1. But because they're Pci version 3, that gives you about 8 gig. I think 8 gigabit per for throughput on that actual slot, which should be okay to run quad network port network cards, or a dual network card, depending on what I want to put in there. Also on the back you have your mini display ports as well as a normal standard VGA port. There's two standard speed USB ports on the back. I'm not too sure what the Gen 8 was to work on, but this seems a very easy server compared to my N36 to work on and the N40 that I had to work on. Both of those were a bit of a pain to actually work on the motherboard. If you were installed in RAM or PCI cards, they were a little bit of a bit awkward to work on. But these are a little bit easier. So I'm going to take the cover off now and just show you a little bit about the inside of the microserver. So the cover comes off very easy. Once you hinge it off, it just completely comes off. And as before with the microservers, they give you all the hard drive screws, an abundance of them there. There's about 16 of them there. Now the difference between the other microservers and the Gen 10, this one doesn't actually have any drive caddies. You simply put the screws inside of a hard drive and then you slot them into place into the slots provided. Not having drive caddies doesn't really bother me, to be honest. The old drive caddies, because you couldn't easily fit a 2.5-inch drive in them, which is what I want to do most of the time, having to get an actual adapter plate in there just made it a little bit awkward. So what I've done with this microserver is I've actually bought two 2.5-inch to 3.5-inch drive adapters, which look like the old-fashioned 3.5-inch drive setup drive. But in actual fact, if you just pull a lever down at the front, and you can actually slide a 2.5-inch drive in there, and then it just fits in these slots, so it should make it a little bit easier. So back to the server. Have a look inside. It's very easy to work on these servers compared with the N36 and the N40, as I said. I can't really compare it with the Gen 8 because I never actually had one of those. So literally two thumb screws on the back and the panel. So inside you've got easy access to the connectors. You've got an additional SATA port in there for connecting to a DVD drive or CD-ROM, or an additional hard drive which you fit at the top. Inside you've got a internal USB port which you've had on every other version of microserver that I've owned for certain, probably all of them. You've got your slots there, very easy to work on. you've got easy access to RAM. This particular microserver is the quad-core version. Comes with 16 gig in one module. So upgrading it to 32, all I need is another single 16 gig module. Although you'd probably be better off getting them in pairs. So I could get a pair and then just sell this as a older one. The CPU is soldered onto the motherboard, whereas with a Gen 8 I think you could replace them or change them out for, upgrade them. These ones, they actually, CPU are soldered onto the motherboard. You've got choice of a quad core or dual core version. The quad core version here I believe goes up to 3.1 gigahertz. It will go, the server does go up to 32 gig, as I say. They're very, very easy to work on compared with the M40 and the M36. Very easy. The Gen 8 had ILO on board, as I mentioned. It's not really a big loss to me, to be honest, because I've got a IP version, IP-based KVM, so it won't be too much of a loss. But apart from that, they do look very good. The Pci slots, they're open-ended slots. You've got one PCI times 8 runs at times 8 speed, and you've got a PCIe which looks like a 4, but it only runs at times 1 speed. And these are PCI version 3. I'm going to put a fibre card in the longer slot, and then a dual Ethernet card in the other one. I'll probably do something like that, or if I can get a quad Ethernet card with that short length, then I might do that instead. Give me plenty of networking options, because I like to have dual redundant links on all of the connections, so I can use two on board for NFS and management, and then use the other two for VMs, vMotion, and various other things. Just keep it completely resilient. I can plug them into 2 different switches and have it completely resilient. So if I take one switch down for upgrade or a bit of maintenance work, I don't lose connectivity to any of the servers. So that being said, I'm now going to set up on my network and install ESXi on it, and do a little bit of housekeeping on my Vmware vCenter, and see how we go with that. It's not actually on the Vmware compatibility list, I don't think. So, but I should be able to get Vmware on there. I'm going to be very disappointed if I can't get Vmware on there. Right, what I've quickly done is I've removed ESX3 server, which was the old N36L, and I've moved the ESX1, which was in production cluster, into my lab cluster. Unfortunately, what happened was I did actually video me doing this work, but I since realised that the capturing software had an issue with a microphone, which turned out to be a audio device I had just suddenly gave up and basically caused me to have audio issues. So unfortunately you've missed that bit. So what I'm going to do is I've connected up the CD-ROM to the new Gen 10 microserver. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start that up, and we're going to install ESXi on there again, and see how we go. So I'll be back shortly. So I've just powered on the actual host. You should be able to see this now. So we're going to the BIOS, I did make a few changes in here, but I'll just wait for this to get into there. There you go. So if you notice in the CPU configuration, there's no actual VTX or VTD settings in here. So I was a little bit concerned that VMware wouldn't actually install, but it turns out it does install. So didn't do much in here, to be honest. I've done some secure boot, disabled it, and also the changed the Samsung hard drive so it's up top, so I wouldn't try and boot off these other network ports. So what I want to try and do is see if I can change the network stack. There you go. I wonder if I can do that. There you go. Just might make it easier. That'd be it basically. So now it shouldn't try and boot off the network at all, so it should just make it a little bit quicker to boot up. So there's no VTX settings in here at all. So I was a bit concerned that VMware wouldn't install, as I said, but it does. So let's save those settings. I've got a CD-ROM in there, so hopefully it should boot into the CD-ROM, and it won't actually, will it? Because I've actually just told it not to, but I think that's it. Let's go back into the settings and change the boot order so the CD-ROM is first. So it should just go straight into the menu shortly. You shouldn't try PXE booting because I've disabled it, but it still is. So let's have a look. Okay. Thought I disabled that, but it's still trying to PXE. Why is it still trying to PXE? I disabled it. So I thought. Okay, so let's go into the BIOS again and change the boot order so it boots off CD-ROM. Sorry about this. We'll get there eventually. Okay, so boot. Let's have a look. It's up there, so let's move it up. There you go. So I'll try the DVD first, and then it'll try the SSD afterwards. That'll be better. So the other ones are further down the list. So save configuration. There you go. So now it should boot off CD-ROM. There you go. Just wait for it to load the ESXi installer. I'll probably fast forward this now, just for a little bit. Okay, so we're at the installer screen now. So go ahead. Let's scan for available devices. So yeah, due to the issue with the microphone, I actually installed it but I didn't actually capture it, so I'm going to reinstall it. So let's overwrite. Let's overwrite it, so it'll reinstall again. So that's reinstalling again. So my other two hosts here are both the same model of server. They've both got Xeon CPUs, and so you can vMotion directly between these ESXi servers. The ESX1 has got a i5, so unfortunately you can't vMotion live VMs to the other two servers. And the new Gen 10 server that I've just installed now, that's got a AMD processor in it, so I won't be able to vMotion live VMs on that one either, but it's not too much of an issue, to be honest. I can just set up these two ESX2 and ESX4 as a high availability cluster if need be, and then that'll do it, because these are both quite powerful. They've both got 32 gig of RAM, and so they should be able to handle it quite well. So I might move some of my other VMs that I don't need to be able to vMotion on a backup server. I might move that over to the new Gen 10. That might make a bit of sense, because I never want to vMotion that, so that normally just stays on one server. So see how the so it's installing still, 27%. Okay, so it's installed now, and I've just got the screen up saying installation complete, been installed successfully. So the fact it didn't have VTX or any of the other hypervisor settings in the CPU or the BIOS doesn't really matter, it still installs VMware, no problem, no errors. So I'm just going to eject the CD-ROM, take it out, and then I can reboot the server. So I've ejected the CD-ROM now, so let's just go ahead and reboot the server. So I'll fast forward this bit again now. Okay, so ESXi is installed and it's rebooted, so let's go ahead and start configuring it. So let's configure the management network. First of all, these two VMNICs, VM0 and VMNIC1, these are going to be my management interfaces, so I might as well select those. I also have the management on a different VLAN, so let's do that. So the switch is tagged on those ports that connect to the microserver. They're tagged for the VLAN 160. So let's do the IP version 4 settings. Better put a subnet mask in there. So that's my IP version 4 settings. So I've got it on different VLAN from the rest of my network. Only gives me 30 hosts, but it's enough for what I need. So actually, what you do is you leave the IP version 6 to last. That's if you want to disable it. If you want to use it, then fine. But if you want to disable it, and not want to use it, then you'll do that setting last, because it needs a restart. So if you do that. I've already got the ESXi6.5 on my DNS server, because I've removed the N36L, which was ESXi6.5, and I'm not going to use it again. So I'm just using the same settings for this for the Gen10. So it's quite easy, it saves me a bit of a job because I'm just replacing a host. So now we'll go back to IP version 6. I don't want to use IP version 6, so I'm just going to disable it. So because I've disabled IP version 6, it's going to need to restart the host. So now let's restart it. I'll fast forward this video just to just how to make it a bit quicker. Okay, so we're back booted up now. So what I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to run some network management tests, just make sure that can contact the network. Okay, so let's do a test management network. I'm not expecting it to be able to ping the default gateway because there's a firewall on that, so that won't work, but the DNS servers should do, and it should be able to resolve its name as well. So there you go. So it hasn't pinged the default gateway, which I knew it wouldn't, but it's pinging via DNS servers and it's resolving the host name. So it all looks good. So I think what we can do now is actually go back into VMware and add the host into VMware, into the actual vCenter. So ESXi6.5. This is why it makes adding the DNS records into your DNS server really good. So instead of having IP addresses, you can actually use the actual name of a host. So it makes more sense. Makes it look a lot prettier having names rather than just IP addresses. So that should find that fine. So yep. Okay, cannot verify the certificate, that's fine. So let's install the license. So I don't want to do lockdown mode. We can do that fine, there's no VMs on it. And that should be fine. So it's just connecting to it, fine. Okay, so there you go. We now have the MicroServer Gen10 in the production VMware environment. So let's go to the physical adapters. Let's have a look at virtual switches. So this should just be for management. What I'm going to do is change the settings on here. Oh, it's already done. So yes, I've got one active adapter and one standby adapter. So that's fine. That's just what I want. What I could go ahead and do is add my the storage as well to it. So let's add the NFS storage. So let's add it to that one there. So yeah, to add this, it's NFS storage. So in vCenter, just go to the storage tab, right click on the NFS data store, and then just mount the data store to additional hosts. So let's go ahead and do that. Should connect okay. So let's go back onto the free and see the data stores. So there you go. And the other thing I like to do is actually rename the local data store to match the host. And call out the system. Because that's where the ESXi is installed. Makes it easier to identify. Because if you just left data store 1 there, all the other hosts could have data store 1 on them, and you could find out what you could easily find out what host it's on, but it's just easier to rename it here. It doesn't cause any problems. It's only a name. It's only an alias. So there you go. So in here now, when you go to data store, you'll actually see ESX3. That's all the others capital. Let's just rename it again. Make it capital. So there you go. So that's that. Done. So that, I think, is going to be it for today. I've done the install the ESX3, and I'm now going to go and tidy up the host a bit physically, take the CD-ROM off, and put a cover back on, and just basically make it look a bit more presentable. So thanks for watching. Please comment in the comment section if you'd like to see anything more specific. When it comes to licensing of VMware, I'm a member of VMware user group, so I get a lengthened evaluation period, because normally the evaluation period for the actual ESXi hosts, ESXi software and vCenter is only 60 days, but if you become a VMware user group member, you get a lot longer. They don't support you in production environment, it's only for labs, but it gives you access to all the VMware products for evaluation purposes, and it's a very reasonable price. So if you're interested, I'd look into doing that yourself. It's a very good way to evaluate all the VMware products, Orchestrator, all of them, vSAN, all of them you can evaluate. Gives you access to all of them. So anyway, again, thanks for watching.